Oh, my body.
Your body.
Yes, my body.
Both of our bodies.
It's not a one-up contest. I was just saying my body as I was trying to sit down.
I know. That's why I said both of our bodies, and I didn't say my body, because I also realized that I can be in pain and you can also be in pain. That's why I changed course in the conversation. Okay. I need to sit before we begin. It looks like you do too. You know what I'd like to say is I've only had 1 Celsius today. It's the only caffeine I've had before this little bit. And I've been doing like 2 Celsius and pre-workout and coffee.
I just have 1 Celsius a day. Every day, but
yeah, I've been doing quadruple that.
oh,
Are you ready? You look so in it. You put on your old Boston sweater. How cute. You had a different sweater on earlier.
I did.
I didn't see you change. It just like clicked in my brain at like what you changed.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Welcome back to another episode of Sober, Shaken, and Stirred.
With us.
Last episode was a bit heavy, so we're gonna keep things, I was gonna say lighter, but then there's one topic that could be taken either way.
We'll lighten the load.
We'll lighten the load a little bit.
Yeah.
So recently we just went to Boston.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go for work, and you joined me this time, which was nice because you've never been.
I've never been to Boston, and I'm in love.
And before we dive, I was gonna say thoughts before we dive in deep.
I'm in love.
In love.
I love Boston.
I love it as well.
I feel like we're already city dwellers. We love a good city.
Love a city.
Love a city.
Mm-hmm.
Boston's like the perfect mix, though. Of
For
like
us.
me feeling.
Yes, I was gonna say for us.
Yes.
We both like a city.
Mm-hmm.
I love a city.
Mm-hmm.
I love a city. And in my opinion, what I mean by that really quickly is San Diego does not feel like a city to me. It feels like a very large beach town.
Well, yeah.
San Francisco, that's a city. Chicago, that's a city.
Right.
New York, that's a city.
Downtown San Diego is still a city.
It doesn't feel that way to me. I'm not saying the technicality. I'm saying how I feel. And I'm a very city girl.
Mm-hmm.
I spent many, many moons growing up in a very small town, and it's not for me. And I don't like it. Boston, however, as you said, although a very large city, is very cozy.
It's super cozy. It's cozy, and the red brick, I love it a lot.
Yes.
I love it a lot. My soul belongs there.
You know what? I kept saying, you're going to love it as much as I do. And then you weren't sure. And we both went together, and you do. So, I mean,
I think that living there might not be in the cards for us, but I think it'll become like a favorite.
My heart just shattered.
Travel destination.
As you said that, shattered.
I'm so sorry. Our current jobs don't have us in Boston, and that's okay. But I do think that it will become like my new fave travel spot.
I'll take.
Like, I used to go to Vegas all the time. Now I want to go to Boston all the time. Like, Boston will be my new thing.
Thank goodness.
Okay.
Because I hate Vegas.
Okay, well, we love Boston. Everything about it was wonderful.
Everything about it was wonderful. But why I bring it up is because before I went to Boston, I went to Tucson for work.
Yes.
So from here to
She has been on a long work trip endeavor. Starting
starting with Tucson. And in Tucson, I hurt my back in a way I've never done before.
Just simply existing.
Okay. And okay. I wasn't doing anything that could hurt a back that you're told not to do to hurt your back. I was genuinely sitting and I bent down like this to tie my shoes. And when I went to come back up,
This is why we need to get you some Velcro shoes.
you know what? I'm not opposed.
Okay.
Love a good grandpa Velcro shoe. I went to come back up and I just could not.
Just stuck, hunched over.
So much pain.
Mm.
More pain than I have been in soberly in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because when all of my accent, everything got hurt, I was in the thick of it, of my addiction. So that was the beginning of a spiral for me.
I just love how you made the comment of you always thought people that complained about back pain were just wussies.
I didn't say wussies. I did not say wussies. Let's put it on the record. I said had a low pain tolerance.
I don't think that's exactly what you said. But
Yes, it is.
go with that if that's how you remember it.
That's how I remember it.
Okay.
I think I actually stated it to you in the wussy way, and then I think I stated it to a different group of friends as had a low pain tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why I'm misremembering our conversation. But I genuinely believe people who had
Like you were complaining about back pain.
debilitating back pain that didn't have like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a tragic thing happen to them
Mm-hmm.
to cause it. I thought just had a low pain tolerance until I got
Or wuss-pusses.
That's what I said. But I actually don't technically know what happened. We think I pinched a nerve or something with a muscle. I don't know. It's never happened. It's
And
not.
all of a sudden you got back pain.
All of a sudden I got.
All of a sudden you are the wuss-puss.
You know what? And why this is so important when it comes to my sobriety is I don't even regularly take any medicine now.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to, even when I got sober, struggled with migraines and used to take a lot of Excedrin before we kind of figured out what was causing the migraines.
Yeah.
But it's been a few years since I've regularly taken any medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And over the last few years, and I've stated this on here a few times, some of the medicine I've taken, just because I have developed seasonal allergies and or got a headache, made me high.
Mm-hmm.
Because my body is just not used to things anymore.
Your body is so detoxed at this time
So detoxed that one allergy pill
that a whisper of NyQuil will just not.
I can't take NyQuil.
I know.
I actually haven't been able to take NyQuil since I got sober because I did one time and it was weird, man.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. And that was early on in sobriety. But I'm saying now, 6.5 years in, I took allergy medicine earlier this year, or was it last fall?
I can't remember.
But recently, it was in the last 6 months because I've never had to take them before. And I was high,
Yes.
like loopy high.
Mm-hmm.
So me taking any medicine is weird. So I hurt my back and immediately it was like, it's just going to go away. I'm just going to figure it out. And I was with a coworker and our boss was also coming to this event. And the coworker was like, you need something. Like you can't walk regularly. So you need to take something. So I took some Advil.
You're hobbling.
I was hobbling. We did go to work because we had to go to work. Took some Advil and progressively through the day took 14 Advil on top of 2 Tylenol in the morning. Mind you, I don't know that I was still in an extreme amount of pain. I do believe it was helping, but I don't think it was doing even enough. Hence why I was taking so much. And I was taking them 2 at a time. And then all of a sudden I was like, holy shit, I've taken 14 Advil.
Yeah.
Which you're not supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I did.
Yeah.
Then the day goes by. I take the last little bit of Advil. I head downstairs to meet both of them for dinner. And my boss is like, that's not okay. Like, you've
reached max capacity.
Max capacity. And he was like, your kidneys are going to fail. Like, you're not going to be okay.
Just putting like the fear of God in you.
In me.
Yeah.
And then they both were like, no, you're fine. You're fine. But I was already pushed off the ledge into a spiral.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because if I was feeling okay, I'm not as easily pushed mentally off of a ledge, but I was physically trying so hard to hold it together and was failing.
Right.
Very badly. That I just didn't have any boundary left in me to not spiral about dying from Advil.
It's not funny, but it's funny.
It's funny now because when I look back, I'm like, that's dumb. Not that you can't die from taking too many Advil, but 14 Advil one time when I haven't taken, it's not like I was taking 14 every day for an extended period of time. I just was so frustrated with my back and upset that this happened on a work event. Also, right before you were going to meet me in Boston, and just emotionally not okay. Trying to hold it together because I'm technically at a work event.
Mm-hmm.
And like one little thing just like pushed me over the ledge. I was in fact fine. I did panic. I did fully panic. Had a panic attack at dinner.
Yeah.
So to hop back on the train of like panic attacks and anxiety attacks coming back up in my life now that I'm sober,
Mm-hmm.
had a full just like panic meltdown internally. I wasn't crying or freaking out. I actually wasn't really talking, which is unusual.
Well, because you were internalizing all of it.
Yeah. And I'm like texting you, and I'm texting my best friend who works in a pharmacy, and I'm having her check with her doctor that works there. I'm just like full spiral on the inside. And I bring all of this up, not to say that I think taking that many Advil is a problem when you're sober, but to say that since I have gotten sober, I'm now afraid to die.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't when I was really in my addiction.
Mm-hmm.
I used to just do whatever, drink however much, black out in random places, take drugs from strangers. We were just talking about this the other day. I took a random tab from a man. Me and a friend were together. So I thought, oh, nothing can go wrong because there's two of us. Stupid.
The math is mathing.
Math is mathing. Took a random tab from a stranger in a club in San Francisco, and then
terrifying.
Got so high that my wall, once I made it back to my room, my wall bled for a very long time. I watched the top, you know, where like the wall meets the ceiling. I watched it just bleed. The whole wall dripped blood.
That doesn't sound...
It wasn't. It was a really bad trip. But I used to just do all these crazy things, and it wasn't that I wasn't afraid of dying. Like, I just couldn't care less. I was like, cool, if I don't wake up tomorrow, like, no harm, no foul, then you're gone.
Yes.
Right?
And now
you
take 14 Advil and you are freaking out.
I thought I was going to die.
You were going to be able to say goodbye to your dog.
I was more so thinking of you.
That too. But like,
for the person, let me just state this on here very quickly, because she gets on me all the time because I tell her dog that she's like my one true love.
Yes.
And you all the time are like, I'm sitting right here. Like, your wife is also in the room. But in my spiral of 14 Advil and freaking out, and then also, you know, doing some therapy work the next few days after, which we'll get into, I have realized my panic attacks recently have all stemmed from the fear of dying, because I love my life now and I'm in a very good place.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to put a name to what's causing freakouts. I do realize in a clear space that I wasn't going to die.
Yes, correct.
But it's new for me. Even the first few years I got sober, and it's not that I wasn't happy, I just hadn't really settled into being sober and being happy and being, how do I say this? I still thought like relapse was going to happen and all these things were on the board, that I wasn't like, oh no, you're going to live a full, long life. Like,
happy life.
Like, you might,
life. Yeah.
I might die of old age.
Potentially, yeah.
That's wild. For me,
Crazy.
I did not. At 16, I thought I was going to die by 25.
Oh, I know.
And it was
They have surpassed your death date.
then some.
I know.
And so now that I'm living in the extra years, the bonus years, I'm genuinely afraid to like lose my life and the life we have. So, you know, like I said, good to put a name to it.
Mm-hmm.
Working through all of that, feeling so much better since I put a name to where the feeling was. But I did have to talk to a doctor. So I've never done the online doctor thing.
Okay, so I am not a doctor girly. We've talked about this on the podcast before. I am my own doctor. I can diagnose myself.
She cannot.
My boss, I got so ill one year where I had multiple different various illnesses, one after the other, after the other, after the other. And my boss finally said,
pause. We're saying bronchitis, tonsillitis, pneumonia. You had something else.
Yes, I had all sorts of stuff, one after the other. Come to find out, I ran a 10K while having pneumonia, and it just made everything so much worse. And my boss finally was like, you need to see a doctor. You need to talk to a doctor. You need to do something. And so my boss turned me on to like telehealth, which game changer. If I don't have to actually walk into a doctor's office, I will have 1,000 doctor's appointments. I don't care because I can sit in the comfort of my own room and get prescribed antibiotics for it. Down for that. So I now have a doctor through this. Jen, while she's in Tucson, calls me freaking out. Her back is hurting, blah, blah, blah. She's spiraling about Advil. I was like, you should just set up an appointment with my like telehealth doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get you some meds, just, while you're traveling, because if you would have done that entire trip
without
like, oh my God, I can't even imagine.
We wouldn't have done anything. It's funny because but at the same time you sent me the link for yours, Monica sent me like a telehealth link as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the girl I was working with was like, just make a virtual appointment. And I'm like, what year am I living in?
I think we were living under rocks. I truly do, because it had never even crossed my mind. I had never heard of it. And I just started telehealth last year. Finally got a diagnosis for my freaking eustachian tube. The whole shebang, regardless. I am down for a telehealth doctor.
Yeah.
I'm super down for that.
I had never done it because I had, up until recently, I say recently like it was a year and a half ago, I had a primary I really liked, and it was in person. I'm like, well, I had telehealth and I could just go to my primary.
I mean, true.
Because I will go to the doctor. You don't
you doctor gonna catch these hands. I don't need to be up in there.
I spent so much time in a hospital room and in checkups. It just got rid of the fear. Like, I procrastinate on going because I procrastinate on making myself appointments, but I don't have a fear of it in the way
I have a deep fear of truly actually anything medical.
Mm-hmm. I know. I was actually saying to someone earlier, there's only two things you and I really fight about, and me trying to get you to go to the doctor is one of them.
Yes.
So much so that we don't even fight about it anymore because I just kind of go with whatever pace you're at for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I might be like, you could see a doctor about that, and then I just don't say anything else.
Yes. I even start to get super anxious if I'm ever to go with you to being in a car outside of a doctor's office even gives me anxiety. Like, I don't like to be in the area.
Which is crazy because you came to the hospital every day that I was there.
I know.
Oh,
I did.
well, I tried to make a telehealth online. I don't even if that's the website or the other. I don't know what website I was on. I'm trying to make an appointment. But because my back was so bad Thursday night, I was in so much pain. My boss and I, we decided that instead of me taking a red eye Friday night, because originally I was going to work all day Friday in Tucson, take a red eye to Boston, and then work all day Saturday.
Yeah.
Which is pushing the limits of anyone's body, but I chose to do that. Doing that in the pain I was in wasn't going to happen. So I moved my flight up. So I'm trying to make an appointment Friday morning, They cancel my first appointment. I try to make another one. And because I was moving states, they like really weren't allowing me to make an appointment. They were like, well, where are you going to be? And then I was trying to put in the pharmacy in Boston while being in Tucson, and the online was like, no, can't do it. So I finally make an appointment for 5:45 a.m. Saturday morning after I land late Friday night, wake up super early to talk to a random woman and talk about my back. And she's like, okay. She tells me some stuff to do, some like PT stuff to help, tells me about a brace I can buy. And then she's like, I can give you muscle relaxers. And when I tell you the whole day, Friday to this appointment, I'm thinking, I just want this to get better so I don't have to get muscle relaxers. There are a lot of people who are sober who are very anti any medicine, especially if they had any type of trouble with pills. I have done pill drugs in my life. I have never been addicted to them. Now, that doesn't mean I'm just out here taking pills. Like, I prefer to just live a more holistic life and not have to take pills. So I was really just trying to like ice and heat my back and do all these things to get it to a manageable place. So I didn't have to add the thought of taking muscle relaxers to my already spiraled brain, who just had a breakdown at a work dinner. That didn't happen. I had to get medicine. I was unwell.
It was unbearable for you.
It was unbearable. Now, we have never discussed any boundaries or guidelines or, I don't want to say rules, but like rules for me taking pills. And you also know that it's not something that I have ever used to, how do I say this? I've used it to get high when I was like 16 and bored. But as an adult, I wasn't just taking pills to get high. So I got medicine finally Saturday afternoon, and I was still at work. So I only took half of a pill because I was like, I need to not be high at all because I don't want to be. I don't want to put myself in that weird situation where I would have left if I was. But I was like, I just wanted like the pain to just subside. It did not subside. It did lower. Totally fine. Then once I got off from work, I was going to meet you at the airport. I took a full pill. And I was high at the dinner table. And I told you, I was like, okay, I took a half a pill earlier. I took a full pill this evening. No more full pills for me. I'm just going to take halves as I need them. And then I would say probably over communicated when I was taking pills.
Yeah, but I feel like that was also because I have some like holds barred as far as medication as well. So like you kind of dance around it a little bit because of your sobriety. I dance around it because I just don't trust drugs like at all.
So to flash back really quickly, Allie mentioned she finally got diagnosed for sinus stuff.
Yes.
We're not going to dive too deep into that. I just want to say they cauterized inside her sinuses, which puts you in an extreme amount of pain for a couple days after. They gave her pain medicine. I don't remember.
They gave me Oxy and...
Yes, okay. They gave you Oxy. You have been, and there's no fault in this, but you have been told your entire life to be so insanely careful with any pain medication that you refused to take any of it. And we're hours into being home and you were just crying because you are in so much pain. And I'm having to convince you that this is why they give people the pain pills. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, just take one. And if it makes you weird or high or uncomfortable, you don't have to ever take it again. But because you were actually in pain, it didn't make you high. It just dealt with your pain.
Yes.
So I get it. And I fully support your weirdness and caution. I didn't say weirdness, your extreme caution around pills, because so many people in the world now get so easily addicted to them.
Yeah.
But you, as a non-coherent, like fully coherent person, because you just came out of a procedure, were like, gonna fight me. And all I was doing was like, they're here. And you were like, I don't want them. Crying. With your face,
so much pain.
your face imaged crying.
Yeah,
But yes, you are very anti-pills.
I am. So I think your over communication was because A, you know that I am quite a bit anti-pill,
Mm-hmm.
and B, because it was your first time like dipping toe into prescribed pills.
Second, because I had my wisdom teeth pulled when I was sober.
Yeah. Yes.
But that's also when they give me like Vicodin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I could have taken all 5 Vicodin they gave me and been fine. I didn't, obviously. But muscle relaxers are different in the way that they affect you differently. And
Yes.
I've never been prescribed muscle relaxers. If you listen to season 1, we all do know that I got bored in high school and found a bottle and took some when I was younger. But I've never been prescribed them.
Yes.
And it was, so as mentioned, my best friend works in a pharmacy. Every time I get a prescription, even before I can be like, oh, here's what it is, she'll just ask what it is. So I just like send it to her. And instantly she's like, oh man, like those can be strong.
Mm.
So because of like, and mine was like a 5 milligram pill. But she said they can like make you really tired and knock you out. So I did only take half. But then I was very good, not just about communicating with you, but being really mindful of, I wasn't just taking it because I was in a little bit of pain. Because even on the pill, I was in pain. I was just in manageable pain.
Yeah. You were taking them as the pain was coming instead of like on a clock schedule. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's noon, I get to take my next pill. Oh, it's 4, I get to take my next pill. Like, you weren't doing that. It was more when your pain tolerance had enough.
Yeah,
You would take it to help
exactly.
and make it more manageable.
And I was prescribed I could take 3 full pills a day. I never took more than 1.5 in a day.
Yeah.
And so I just bring this up to mention and be really mindful of, one, as a sober person, I'm extremely mindful of any medication now, especially prescribed stuff. But there is a time and place where it's needed.
Mhm.
Like, your body being in so much pain is more detrimental than you taking medicine. And I still have a third of the bottle left here and I'm not taking it anymore. My back is still tweaked a bit,
Yeah.
but I have gone to just taking like 2 Advil a day. 2 Advil a
A
day.
6th the amount that you were taking.
Yeah, I'm the 7th, but something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then dipped my toe back into CBD.
Mm-hmm.
So I was never a weed person. I only ever liked weed when I was drunk. Like, I liked being crossfitted. I liked doing both when I used to drink, but just smoking, I hated. I didn't like the high it gave. So when CBD became like this big
Yes.
thing, and you weren't a smoker, we're not weed people, we didn't really dive into it. But when we were both struggling a couple years back with sleeping, had gotten some CBD gummies from a friend, and they did help. But we go through phases
Yeah.
where it didn't help enough that after we tried it and used it for a little while, we were like, it's whatever. But this last weekend, so what, like 2 days ago?
I don't even know what day it is.
I don't either. 2 days ago, I was still in more pain than I wanted to be, but not enough to justify taking a muscle relaxer. And so I was like, you know what? I know people who, and some people don't even think CBD helps with pain or muscle recovery or all these things, and some people do. And so we live in San Diego. There is, within a mile radius, like 7 different dispensaries from us. So I was like, I'm just going to...
More than that, I would almost say.
They're everywhere. And so I was like, I'm just going to look up what like CBD only ones. And I've taken CBD THC gummy before, and it doesn't make me weird or high or anything. I took it to sleep, and that one helped more than just a CBD gummy. But I was like, I'm going to see what they have. And I went and got some, and I took it yesterday. And I had the day off. So I was like, if I'm a little weird and realize this isn't for me, then it won't be for me. But it helped. It helped just like my whole body relax a little bit. And so, you know, just another thing that is there to help, but also isn't going to get me high.
Yeah.
Because the muscle relaxers do make me, I wouldn't even say high, just foggy.
I could see that.
When I take half. When I took one, I was.
Yeah.
Ooh. But when I take half, it made me foggy, which also is why I didn't want to take so many, because your first time in Boston with me, I didn't want to be super removed. And being foggy is why I fully stepped away from all prescription medicine, because I used to take migraine medicine every day, and that made me foggy, and I don't like it. Like, it's, even though it's not like a fun high, it's still my brain being altered.
It's still, yes.
And that is what bugs me about it. Is I'm in
brain chemistry is
yeah,
than it should be.
Yeah, my brain chemistry is different. I'm in an altered state. But I took CBD yesterday, and then it was great. It helped. I might take one before bed again tonight. My back is, I'm doing some PT stuff, so this morning it sucked a lot, but this afternoon after I did my PT stuff, it felt a little better. But I'll probably take CBD maybe a few more days until like at night before I go to sleep, so I can sleep better. And then we'll probably have most of the little bag I have left over. So there's a fine line that you dance, or I don't want to say the general you, but there's a very fine line. I know in AA, it's really frowned upon when you take anything like that, and we're also in California. There's like California sober, and there's all these different things, but it can be really frowned upon when you use anything to alter yourself or help yourself. But I also am unwilling to be in an extreme amount of pain.
You're not, that's the thing, is like, you're not using it to alter your brain chemistry. You are using it to manage pain.
Yeah.
So
I would much rather take a CBD gummy than take 6 Advil.
Yeah.
So why not take 2 Advil in the morning to help with my pain in the day, and take a CBD gummy at night so I can sleep better? And then I woke up bright and bushy-tailed this morning after it. I did. I was up out of the house. Wind worked out. And I know I probably shouldn't work out while my back is still weird, but it didn't make my back worse. And the working out helps my brain. So it's a fine line also. What?
Yes.
You know. So, excuse me. Let me take a sip.
Okay. I know you got into a coughing fit last time.
You did.
Well,
yeah, I just think if you are using, and everyone, if you're using something for pain or to help yourself and not to alter yourself, I'm all on board for it. But you also know in your brain your own boundaries. And of course, in my brain, I thought I could take more of these and it would make me high. And then I thought, that's stupid, Jenna.
That's a dumb thought.
That's a dumb thought. So it's not to say that those thoughts don't come up, and acknowledge them and be like, okay, cool. Well, I'm not going to do that. And that's also why I over communicate about it too, to help us both. Because I'm like, cool, I know I'm going to tell you every time. And if all of a sudden I was like, I've taken another half and I've taken 2.5 pills in a day and hadn't needed that much prior, I know you'll question it.
Yeah.
And not in like a bad way or a negative way. You would probably just be like, are you in that much pain? Do we need to make another doctor's appointment? Like, you would just not understand why. So same thing as I've always said with everything else is have your own boundaries. Don't pass those boundaries. You know when you're, as an addict, you know when you're doing something you shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
You also, but I don't think we should allow other people's rules they have for themselves and their boundaries to be our boundaries.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, I was watching a TV show, one that I rewatch all the time, and there's a couple addicts in it who go to AA. It's just like a side storyline in this show. And one of them was talking about how, and she did heroin, and she was really struggling, and part of her wanted to go buy weed. She's like, I don't even want to get high on what my drug is. I just want to feel calm, and I feel like weed would help me do that. And her boyfriend asks her, well, is that okay? Because that seems okay, doesn't it? And she was like, no, because I know if I went and smoked weed, I would do heroin.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also said to you many times, like, me getting high off certain things doesn't mean I would drink. But I also don't want to put myself in those situations. So, like, me getting high off a muscle relaxer, I wasn't like, well, man, you know what would make this better? Being drunk.
Right.
You know what this should be, or what I should have done? I should have just gotten drunk.
Tequila?
Tequila.
No.
Could you imagine? God, you know what? There's a turn that's happened, and I don't know when it happened, but the only thing I used to miss about alcohol was the taste of tequila.
Mm-hmm.
And now the thought of tequila kind of unsettles me. That's new, isn't it?
Yeah, it is new.
Because, I mean, I'm not saying I didn't miss being drunk. There is a part deep, deep down inside that will forever miss being intoxicated.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll never go away. She'll always be inside.
Hanging out.
That little voice in the back of my head, right? But I used to not even want to be drunk on tequila. That wasn't my drink of choice, but I loved the taste of tequila. And I always have. And for years, I know I'm so phlegmy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little. For years, I really genuinely missed the taste of tequila. Because you can't just, fake tequila doesn't taste like tequila. Even in a mixed drink, it doesn't taste the same. It like gives a little bit of that burn because they put peppers in the stuff, but it wasn't the same. But recently, like even we'll go to dinner and I'll like read the drinks on it to talk with you about what drink you're going to get. And you'll get tequila sometimes, but I was reading it and I was like, oh, no. Sounds bad.
Interesting.
I know. Turn of events.
That is a turn.
Before we end, I have a question. Why are you so anti pills, drugs, prescriptions from doctors?
You know, I think it's like there's so many different reasons, but like the biggest one, like the all-encompassing one, is addiction, but also the fear of them not being made properly.
Okay.
So obviously, if a doctor is prescribing something to you, the likelihood that it's been messed with or cut with other thing, like that's obviously not legitimate, but it is a fear.
It's not like you're taking drugs from a stranger in a club.
Yeah. So, but overall, I would say like those two things.
Or do
just
you
create
know
a sense of like unsettlement with me.
Do you know anyone, or did you grow up with anyone that was addicted to pills?
That I was close with, no.
I ask because generally a fear of that comes from, right? Like when I was younger, I had a fear of being an alcoholic.
Mhm.
I still became an alcoholic, but I had like a very big fear of it because I grew up with that. And I also did a fear of becoming a meth addict because I grew up with a meth addict.
Yes.
But pills never scared me in that light. And so but also I didn't grow up with being told to be careful about pills. I wasn't told to be careful about anything. So I guess that's also, that's not true. My mom was very anti any needle-based drugs. So anything that you have to inject into yourself was a no.
Okay. I mean, we have to draw the line somewhere.
We have to draw the line somewhere.
Yes. So, yeah, no, I have not even just pills, like drugs in general. I just always, not for me.
You've been very anti all drugs,
Like-
but I was specifically asking about prescriptions because you can be anti ecstasy and coke and meth and all of that and still be like, oh, but if a doctor prescribes this to me, I will just take it as directed and then not take it when I don't need to.
I have also just taken prescribed drugs.
Yeah.
Let me be super clear. I've only ever pulled out, like, I think 4 of my own baby teeth. The rest of them had to be pulled for me. Guess what? I was prescribed drugs for that because, you know, pain management. Also, my surgery. I ended up taking those because I had to.
Yeah, but
So,
begrudgingly.
yes, begrudgingly. Yes, I have a fear of that.
No, I asked.
And I think that also goes along with my fear of my medical aversion. I'm just not a fan of that entire
World.
I was going to say that entire genre, but like just doctors, drugs, pills. No.
I asked because we have 2 very different brains
Mm-hmm.
and we think about almost everything differently.
Mm-hmm.
We get to the same conclusion a lot of times, but your thoughts on drinking, drugs, addiction, and mine will never be the same path.
Yes.
So that's why I asked, because I didn't grow up with an aversion to anything.
I don't think that I grew up with an aversion. I think it was like learned or created somewhere, and I don't know where it started. I never liked going to the doctor, and I never liked.
Well, I could imagine after the dentist was so grand for you. I
never liked the dentist. But I don't believe when I was younger that it was a fear.
Okay.
I just didn't like it. It is a fear now. So I don't know where that happened or what switch took place when, but not trustworthy.
Yeah.
Don't like them.
Fair enough.
And that's on that.
That's on that. Fair enough.
That's on that.
Last thing that we could just throw in here, I'm not going to deep dive too hard into it. I just want to throw it as a mention, is I am back in therapy.
Yes.
And I throw it. Go ahead.
I was going to say, which kind of prompted, you were talking about getting back into therapy for the past couple of months, but what really like kicked it off and we're like, no, yeah, I need to do this, was the spiral with work.
So I did, in fact, make an appointment, and I have had one, and it was great. I will not overshare about my therapy because I think therapy is,
personal. It's for you.
Personal for you. But I advocate a lot that people should use therapy, go to therapy, whatever that means. I am very much, and I will say this 1,000 times over and over again, I'm very much a tool-driven person. So going to therapy for me is like, can you give me tools to help me out where I am right now in my life? And all of the revelations recently of, the being happy.
Right.
Which sounds really bad. I've been happy for a very long time. But being fearful of losing my life instead of not caring, really did set that back into a place, because I don't know, that fear is not just going to go away. So, if you're questioning doing therapy, there's so many different types. I go. We know many people that go. We know many people who see a therapist just regularly, and it isn't like a tool-driven one.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is like, hey, I would like to talk to you for a few weeks. We can dictate that as we go, but I want, and I asked for it too when I got on with, it was like a new therapist. It's never been the same person. And I was like, I need to-dos to help me figure out my brain.
And be able to tackle things on your own.
And be able to tackle. Yes. Thank you for pulling the words out of my brain.
You're welcome.
To be able to tackle things on my own, because that's the thing I've also said on here many times is the person that I trust least in the world is myself. And I don't trust my own body anymore when it comes to any type of medication. I don't trust my mind some days because it fails me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those things happen, and you throw out your back and you lose your mind, and then you get back on track. Yeah. I mean, it didn't lead me to drinking, so we've grown.
Yes, leaps and bounds.
Leaps and bounds. Oh, this was a very interesting ride today. This one, I liked it though.
Start to finish.
Yeah,
We had
like the one topic I really wanted to go over, and then threw a lot in there. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining, guys.
I love you.
Love you.
Perfect.